you're a young entrepreneur or someone that's interested in real estate investing, but maybe you don't have the money, experience, or connections to jump in and buy your first deal, a great way to get started is by house hacking. And a lot of times people wonder if this real estate investing strategy is possible here in Spokane, and I'm here to tell you that I personally do it and have many clients that do it, and you can definitely do it in 2022. Let's get into the video. House hacking is a term that I first heard on Bigger Pockets podcast, and most traditionally it's where you can buy a duplex and rent out one unit and live in the other. Ideally, the rent from the one unit should cover most of the cost of your mortgage. Now, this was the case a couple of years ago before the market went through the roof, but rents couldn't catch up. So 2020 was a hard year to find a house hack that could cover the majority of your expenses because rents were stuck due to moratoriums, and rent increases usually trail behind the housing market by 12 to 18 months anyway due to lease terms and their expiration dates. We are just now starting to have a comparable rental market to the housing market again, which has been tough for many renters in Spokane, experiencing a 20 to 30% increase in their monthly rent in some cases. But the way around this housing cost to rental cost was actually not to buy a duplex. Duplexes got really expensive over the past couple of years. You're lucky to find one under $350,000, with many of the newer duplexes, anything built after 1970, primarily being in the valley, those are closer to $450,000 to $600,000. It just didn't make sense to purchase one of these, especially using the recommended financing options that we'll get into in a later video. The best option was to purchase a triplex or fourplex because usually the price to unit ratio comes down quite a bit, and you can generally get the same amount of rent out of each of those units as you would out of a duplex. The biggest challenge being that it is rare occurrence to find a triplex or a fourplex even for sale, and they're with being reasonably priced. And if they are, they usually get swooped up by an investor that probably has a lot more money to offer. Now, is it impossible? Definitely not. I just closed on a duplex with a buyer for under $300K, but they're going to have to do some work over the next year to raise rents to cover their expenses. You can definitely buy a cheaper multifamily property, but generally you're going to need to do some work by raising rents, improving the property, or a combination of both. My recommendation for a lot of people, and what I helped myself and quite a few people do this year, was to house hack a single family home. And now, before you click off of this video because you're like, no way am I doing that, hear me out. I currently live in a 3-bed, 2-bath home where I live in the master bedroom on the second floor, and my tenants live downstairs and share their own bathroom between the two of them. It's basically like living in an up and down duplex, except I come downstairs and share the kitchen that has 2 refrigerators, so I don't even have to share that with my tenants. The only thing I share with my tenants is the kitchen, and guess what? It doesn't suck. It's because I've set up an environment for this to be successful, and I'm going to show you how. There are 3 key things to do in order to have a successful house hack of a single family home without killing your roommates. And I want to preface this by saying that I live with complete strangers. If you have friends that want to rent a room from you, then definitely go that way. But I know that the time that I've lived with my friends in the past, they didn't really stay my friends afterwards because you just get to know them too personally, and you get to know their personal lives a little too personally. First thing to consider is your screening process. My application process is fairly intense, but it's my house where I live. My girlfriend lives there as well, so I need to make sure that I like the person, I feel safe with them in the house, and I feel like they're not going to cause any problems down the road. One of the first things you'll discover when you post a room for rent is that you can't actually post it on one of the bigger sites like Zillow, so you'll be stuck with Facebook and Craigslist. Everyone thinks that these are terrible places to find a tenant, but it's worked great for me so far. Just be ready for an overwhelming amount of messages on Facebook because you're about to post one of the cheapest places to rent in the city, and most people won't even read the description. They'll just immediately push the "Is it still available" button on Facebook. So here's a screenshot of what I post on Facebook and Craigslist. It's a very dry, straight to the point description, kind of like me, outline of my expectations. There's no parties, there's no animals, there's even quiet hours, and I want them to know that from the beginning. Anybody who actually wants this themselves for a reasonable price is going to be interested, because sometimes having an apartment doesn't even allow you to live quietly. You'll have loud neighbors because you're sharing a wall with them. I'm going to get a lot of messages, so generally I'll have a copy and paste message that lets them know there's an application fee. I'll be pulling their credit, doing a full background check, calling their employers and their past landlords. And if they're okay with that, I will then send them a video walkthrough of the room and the house that they'll be living in. And if they're still happy with that, I will then only schedule a phone call with them at that point. During this phone call, I ask them a few questions, get to hear their voice, hear about where they work, why they're looking for a new place, what they like about the idea of living in my house, and so on. And if that conversation goes well, feeling good about it, at that point, I will schedule an in-person walkthrough of the house. Now you would think that I would have a ton of showings to go through, especially because I don't make them apply beforehand, but surprisingly, most people won't even respond to that first message. So I usually only have to show the house to 3 to 5 people before finding someone that I like for the house. So when they come over to visit, I get to talk to them face to face, learn more about them, and if they're still excited about the property, I will send them an application through apartments.com. They fill everything out. Apartments.com runs their credit and background check for me, and then I can review all the applications in one spot. Once I find the tenant I want to accept, I invite them back to the house to go over the lease in person. My lease is pretty intense. It's a combination of standard lease forms as well as a list of house rules that they're required to sign and can be penalized for if they break them, such as bringing excessive furniture, being noisy, having people stay the night, and so on. With house hacking, there are certain things that we don't have to follow in terms of fair housing laws because I personally am living in the house and it's my personal residence. So there's, of course, things that we just can't do in general, just in terms of basing things off of race and sex and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of my properties, my rules, there's a lot more leniency in there on who I can accept and how I accept them. And then also, if it came down to getting them out of the house, I'm going to have a lot more pull than if I didn't live in the property. Some people might find my rules crazy, but my house is incredibly quiet at all times. Everybody gets along. The house stays clean because everyone understands the expectations. And honestly, I would probably live in a dirtier place than I do now because I have to keep myself at a higher standard for my roommates. So now that you have found a tenant that you like, let's talk about how much do you charge and how to best run your house hacking business. House hacking can be a business. I have clients who have purchased investment properties that are 6 or more bedrooms and run them almost like a hotel to get more cash flow, but also to provide affordable housing at the same time. In order to have happy tenants, which is especially important when you're living with them or you have a bunch of people together, you need to give a little to get a lot back. My rooms are freshly painted with new floors and they're fully furnished. They're walking into a brand new room and don't need to bring anything besides their personal belongings and some bedding. I provide a mattress, bed frame, dresser, and soon I'll be adding desks as well. This is great for people that want to rent a room like this because generally they don't have a ton of stuff, and sometimes they're only living in Spokane for a short period of time and don't want to buy a bunch of stuff. And when everything is in good condition, they're more likely to take good care of it. Additionally, the kitchen and bathroom are fully stocked with everything they would need. I provide dishes and utensils of all kinds, as well as paper towels, toilet paper, and soap. Because of this, I can charge a premium. And many people think the amount that I'm asking is a lot of money for a bedroom, but trust me, many people are fully ready to pay for a quiet, clean place that they don't have to worry about furnishing. So let's get into the financials. All right, so what can you actually expect from renting out a bedroom in a single family home here in Spokane? Going into it, I was nervous because I thought $500 per month was my cap. And out of curiosity, I decided to throw the rooms up for $650 a month, surprised by the overwhelming amount of interest. I feel like this has also helped me find solid tenants because the people willing to pay this amount for a bedroom also realize the benefits of living in the house and don't get stuck on the idea of sharing a house with other people. These people realize that the pros generally outweigh the cons, especially if you're trying to keep housing expenses low. So overall, my house currently brings in $1,300 per month and my mortgage is $1,350. I cover the water, sewer, garbage bill, and we all split the electrical evenly. So even if I didn't split the leftover cost with my girlfriend, I'd be out the door $250 to $300 to live in my house. It's not a perfect house hack, but I get the entire second floor of a 1,900 square foot home all to myself with the benefits of the 2-car garage and the backyard for less than a quarter of what most people pay for a 600 square foot apartment. I would say that's a win. And you can definitely do better than I do. As I mentioned before, I have clients who have bought 4 to 6 bedroom houses or have bought duplexes and rented out the bedrooms in their unit so that their cash flow goes up and gets them closer to that $0 per month or even making some profit. So I think if finding a multifamily property becomes exhausting or something you simply can't afford, then finding a single family home that you can add a bedroom to is the way to go. You will not only be able to get into it for a lower price generally, but you will also experience more appreciation over the long term because it's a single family home, and you can use that to help move up into your dream house after you've bought a few legitimate rental properties using all that money you're saving up from the house hacking. If you have further questions on this, please don't hesitate to reach out to me via call, text, or email, or even a carrier pigeon. I'm also available for questions anytime, and if you're hanging around, comment house hacking, and you'll get our free guide to purchase your first house hack in 2022. We'll help you make that happen. So thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.